So please give a warm welcome to Professor Adrian Cunningham.
Hello, thank you very much. How is everybody doing out there? All the musicians up the back, I see. Hey musicians. Excellent. Well, thank you for joining me. My name is Adrian Cunningham. I'm a woodwind player. A little bit about my story. I'm from Sydney, Australia. Any Australians out there? Nope. Okay, I can make lots of things up. So I used to ride a kangaroo to school every day. That's all a lie. I grew up loving jazz. My father was a huge jazz fan. He had a great collection of old gramophone records. 78 records. My brother and I used to love listening to the old Louis Armstrong recordings, Ella Fitzgerald, Woody Herman, Duke Ellington, so I really love the early music. And I started playing in high school. I started playing clarinet and saxophone when I was about 16 or 17. So I started on piano when I was 11, and so then picked up saxophone a few years later. And I thought the saxophone would be cool. I thought the girls would like it if I played the saxophone. And how wrong I was, ladies and gentlemen. But I fell in love with the saxophone. And then a few years later, I fell in love with the clarinet. And I went to university. I went to the Sydney Conservatoire of Music, and I got a degree in jazz studies on the clarinet. And I've been a professional musician ever since. I play saxophone, clarinet, I play the flute also, and a little bit of piano. And I worked as a musician in Sydney, in Australia, for many years. I was working on a lot of television shows, doing a lot of commercial music. I had my own jazz quartet, and I really enjoyed playing all styles of jazz. There was New Orleans bands in Australia. I had some wonderful mentors for the traditional style, and I was more into, as I got older, more contemporary jazz as well. And we'll talk about that a little later on. So I really love the full spectrum of the music. And I moved to New York when I was 31. That was 15 years ago now. So I moved to New York City. I basically got myself a visa and a plane ticket and came over to New York. And I spent the first, well, what I had, my plan was this. I didn't have a plan. My only plan was, I have enough money saved to live for 6 months. And then, if things don't work out, I'll go back to Australia because I know that I'll have a career in work. And so I did what anybody does who moves to New York City. I took every opportunity I had to meet people. I went to jam sessions every night. New York is an extraordinary place for meeting musicians from all around the world, like-minded musicians who come from Asia, from Russia, from Europe, all coming to New York with a shared passion for jazz. And we would all take any opportunity to play. In my first 6 months to a year in New York City, I was playing in Central Park 3-4 days a week with some great, incredible musicians. Like the level of musicianship, you wouldn't believe how good they were. And the drummer that I work with, he's one of my closest friends even still. He used to get up at 5 in the morning and get to Central Park before the sun came up so we could get the good spot right near the zoo to busk. People would argue over whose spot was what, so he used to get up really early. Some musicians would sleep on a bench overnight so they could get the spot the next day. That's how crazy we are, ladies and gentlemen. So I would work in Central Park. I did that, 3-4 days a week. We did it every day. It's an amazing way to learn repertoire and to learn tunes. You really get your chops together when you're playing 4 or 5 hours a day out in the open. And then you'd go to jam sessions all night. I used to, obviously I was picking up gigs and doing little bits of work and then doing jam sessions. You could have 3-4 jam sessions a night. Fat Cat would be open till 3 in the morning. Then you get up the next day and do it all again. So for people that share a passion for this music, it's really an incredible opportunity for living for your art. It was really wonderful. And then of course, over time you make contacts and you build contacts, and I've had some really wonderful experiences as a musician ever since then. New York is an incredible place for what we do. I've played Montreux Jazz Festival a few times with an incredible blues singer who passed away only a few years ago, but she was an extraordinary figure for me. Which brings me to another point. I think what an important thing is about this music, and this applies to all of us, that it's not just about listening to recordings and emulating what we hear on recordings, which of course is really important. It's really important to know your recordings of the songs you're playing, the repertoire, and to learn from the masters. But there's the mentorship that's involved in jazz, which I see here at this festival. This is an incredible tradition. I believe it's been going 20-something years, this camp. But I see the mentorship happening here, which is really wonderful to see. And that's such an important part of the music. And that's the reason why I went to New York, because I got to rub shoulders with the musicians I grew up listening to. I've had some I played with Wynton Marsalis, was of course a real highlight. What an incredible musician. I've been in a trombone player called Wycliffe Gordon. I've been in his band for many years, and we've had some incredible experiences. In a few weeks, we're playing the Village Vanguard, which I'm very excited about. I've never played that before. So all of these experiences are really a part of the music for me, much more so than, as I said, than listening to recordings. Having that physical presence. As you know, this music is live music. It's about a physical connection with someone on stage. It's great to watch videos. The resources that we all have these days is incredible, but nothing will replace the energy of hearing a band or being on the bandstand with someone you admire. There's aspects of musicianship that you can only pick up in the presence of somebody. So for me, it's been a real incredible experience in the last 15 years, all the opportunities you have in a city like New York. And since then, I've had a touring life. I spent a lot of time on the road. I moved to Barcelona. I got married last year and moved to Barcelona. And obviously, I became an American citizen, so I can still travel back to work. I still have most of my work is still in the US, so I'm jumping on a plane a lot. But Barcelona is a beautiful city to be living in. I'm very happy there. And I'm still doing what I'm doing. The beautiful thing about this music is you can do it anywhere. You can do it anywhere. Jazz is a universal language. It's something that you will find anywhere in the world you go. I can relate a couple of stories. I've been to Japan many times, and you go into Tokyo, and anybody been to Japan or anybody from Japan? It's it's such an unbelievable part of the world. But they have these buildings that you know, it's like a science fiction movie, these endless buildings, and you catch an elevator up to the 34th floor in some building that somebody told you about, and there's a jazz club in there. And you can go and jam and meet Japanese musicians and hang and ask about their lives. I was in Africa, in Botswana. There was a jazz club in Botswana. It's no longer there. It was called Alabama's. It's closed now. I looked it up. But I was traveling. I was backpacking, and I had my clarinet with me. And the guide I was with, she knew that I played my clarinet, and she said, "Come on, I want you to introduce you to the band." They couldn't speak a word of English, but I had my clarinet, and they smiled, and they invited me onto stage, and I think we played Little Suede Shoes and maybe Fly Me to the Moon. But it's an amazing experience because I didn't speak a word of their language, they didn't speak English, but we connected through this universal art form. It's extraordinary. And the beautiful thing about it is it's an American art form. It's this really uniquely American expression that is yours and yours alone, but yet it is something that the whole world has embraced, which is really actually incredible if you stop to think about it. It's extraordinary. So, if anybody has any questions, by the way, I'm happy to take this in any direction if anybody has anything to ask. Other than that, I'll just keep rattling on, shall I? I open up with a tune. Does anybody know what that song was, more or less? That was an old traditional tune called Battle Hymn of the Republic. And that's what a tune I opened up with. And I like to play on that. That's a fun little kind of bluesy, it's a very old spiritual tune, but it's really fun to play on. And the concept of this workshop, I wanted to base it around something that I believe is the most important aspect of what we do as musicians. And I believe it's called There Ain't No Wrong Notes in Jazz. That's what I wanted to call this. Can anybody relate to what that might mean? That doesn't mean one thing, by the way. Does that mean something to anybody in particular? No? Yeah?
I mean, wrong notes make the right notes sound better.
Wrong notes make the right notes sound better. Yeah? That's very true. That's very true. I mean, we can talk about that, but anybody else? I don't want to cut anybody else off. Yes, in the corner.
There's no bad musicians.
There's no bad musicians. In a way, you're right. I'm going to talk about that as well. I think you have a good point, actually. Anybody else? Anything will sound good to somebody. That's right. I have a friend that says everybody's ugly to somebody else. No matter how pretty you are, you're ugly to somebody else. This is all. Yes.
You don't play a bad note.
You got to hear it. Yeah. This is good. This is all an interesting. It's interesting dialogue we can open up from all these comments. These are all very relevant. That's true. I mean, you look at someone like Thelonious Monk. He played all the wrong notes, but what he did was he created a whole new language. If you think of the blues scale, let's think about the blues scale for a minute. Does this sound good to anybody? I mean, it doesn't particularly sound good, does it? But if we go... If we make that bluesy all of a sudden, it's not a wrong note anymore, right? Right? Okay, good. So I think what I wanted to do was, because I remember what it was like being a student. Well, I'm still a student, we're all still students, but I remember what it was like getting overwhelmed when someone puts a piece of music in front of you with all these chords. You think, what am I going to do with this? This is great, this is so much stuff. And of course, scales and arpeggios and all that stuff is very important. But I'd like to talk today about the most important thing in the music, which is, for want of a better word right now, I'm going to say your sound. So I hope you can relate to this. The first thing that I connect with when I hear a musician is his or her sound. When I first hear the sound of Louis Armstrong's trumpet on a recording, I feel like there's warmth, I feel love of this man's instrument, right? There's something very special, there's something unique about the sound of a great artist, right? If I hear Lester Young's sound, for example, if I hear the subtone of Ben Webster, it fills you with a certain thing. And of course, that's more than the notes, isn't it? There's something else in that. Now, how do we get that? How do we get that? This is a really complicated question, but I think the core of it is you have to love your sound. You have to love it, find a way to accept it and embrace it. So when I started that song, I was thinking of filling the room with warmth, of filling the room with the sound of my saxophone. Do I like it? I'd better like it, because if I don't like it, what chance is there that you're going to like it? So for the first note, if I open up with this, I want the room to vibrate. So I'm fully invested in what's coming out of my instrument. Now, you can see technically that wasn't particularly overwhelming, I can't imagine. It was essentially a blues scale, or my pentatonic in my key of G. So I'm not doing anything that you can't do. I'm sure you can all, I could write that out and you could all read it in a second. But the difference is that I'm fully invested into every aspect of that note I was playing, up until the very tail end of the note. Does that make sense? The sound is what connects us to the audience. And once we get caught up in the technique, and there's so much in music that can be overwhelming. But I think the core of what I'm trying to say today is that we have to be connected with our instrument. Our instrument, no matter what it is, even if it's a percussive instrument like the piano or the drums or the bass or guitar, it's our voice. Right? How many instrumentalists sing? Even if it's badly, how many do you see? How many? Let's see some hands. That's a pretty healthy number. This is good. I mean, we've heard a lot of vocalists. I've heard a lot of vocalists today, which I think is wonderful. And there's nothing more connected to music than our voice, because it's part of our body. It's part of what makes us who we are. And the instrument, my goal is to make the instrument an extension of myself. I want it to be my voice. I want to be able to sing with it. So I'm thinking like a singer when I'm performing. Does that make sense? Yeah. So in a way, I would like to think less about when we're practicing. I think we're always having music in front of us. If we're starting out, we're thinking, I need to be playing the right notes. And I was certainly at that point in high school too, when I was learning music. But we do not want to lose the connection with our instrument, the sound of our instrument. I would like maybe some volunteers who might have their instruments here that would like to come up. One at a time, we'll give a few. But anybody have an instrument that would like to come and join me? My man. Okay, please. He's the closest. What's your name? Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ethan. Give him a round of applause. All right. Ethan, you're pretty popular, man. I need a hat. He's got a following. He says, I'm going to follow him. What's your story, Ethan? Tell me about your story.
Hello, everyone. So I started out when in 5th grade. I joined with my middle school's orchestra, and so I played with that in middle school until I graduated. And then when I moved to high school, I went to River City and I joined the illustrious and wonderful Syncopating Sea Monkeys. With them, I'm now a junior, and I've been with them since freshman year. Thank you.
So Ethan, what's your history with jazz music, or improvising and all of that?
So it started just listening to recordings that I found on the internet, and I really liked the style of it. And so when I saw that it was available as an option in high school, I jumped for it.
Great. So you'll be doing some improvising. I mean, I stood next to you today, but yeah. Good. Okay. All right, Ethan, let's do this. So get your clarinet out. So Ethan, what I'd like to do, not only with you, but some of our other volunteers, is we're going to, this is an experiment. This is a sound experiment. What's happening now? Oh, we'll do this in a minute. We're gonna do Ethan first, and that's right. So we're gonna do a little sound experiment, and we're going to forego all of the rules of music. All the stuff that you're told about scales and arpeggios and all this stuff. And Ethan and I, we're just going to have a musical conversation with our sound. And I don't want to say any more because this could go in any direction. But this comes to the heart of what I'm getting at. I'm getting away from all of the stuff that's in our heads about right notes and wrong notes. And we're just going to make some music. It's a pretty looking clarinet. What is that? Wow, your clarinet's fancier than mine. I'm embarrassed. My clarinet's all old. Okay. If anybody else wants to give this a go, get your instrument out too, so we can kind of jumpstart the process. Now, Ethan, I'm okay with just using the room. If you feel more comfortable with the microphone, I would prefer just to use the acoustic space. Is that okay? Great. So we're going to need to keep the volume down because we might be playing very softly too. So this is an art form. Jazz is an art form that is acoustic in spirit. So let's all bring our attention forward. All right, Ethan, you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
nerve-wracking, but then, once I got into it, it just felt natural.
Okay. Any particular part of that got your ears pricked up,
I'd say definitely like the fast and the fluttery sections of it, and then also at the beginning, like holding the long note and then starting quietly, getting loud, and then going back to quiet.
Man. Ethan, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. So, from an audience point of view, how did that feel? Like Fantasia. That's cool. All right, fantastic. I hope we get those Disney royalties on that. Maybe not. So obviously this is not jazz, but it's in the spirit of what we're doing. Improvisation, at its core, is exactly what we just did. It's free from the rules. Now, rules are very important in an art form. Rules are important in expression, any sort of art. If you look at language, if you look at the English language, we have rules. Those rules are very important to be understood because we all know English, right? But if I say duck, chair, microwave, car, tree, these are all English words, but they don't communicate anything particular, do they? In the same way, our scales and arpeggios are the words of our language. But if we don't know the way these phrases fit together, then we miss out on communicating certain ideas. But what we did was we got rid of all of that, and we just got to the pure essence of communicating something beyond scales and arpeggios. So this is at the crux of it, and as I'm saying, you could feel it, I could feel it. When we started playing, the sound, do you feel the way the whole room came in? It was really something special. Yeah, fantastic, great. Would anybody else like to try this? That hand went straight up at the back. Let's get you up here. What's your name?
Claire.
Claire, give Claire a round of applause, everybody. All right. We have another clarinet, fantastic. All right, you were playing bass, no?
Oh, yes.
Whoa, okay.
My main instrument.
Really? This is your second? Well,
Yeah.
now I'm nervous. All right, okay.
Been at bass for 4 years. Clarinet only like about a year and a half.
Wow, okay. So Claire, have you played much jazz?
Oh, yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's do this. So we can start in any direction. There's no rules. All right. Okay, let's keep doing that. Do you want to just maybe convey how that felt, or anything in particular in what we did might have struck out with you?
It really is just the most wonderful thing to interact with other musicians. No matter what art groups I'm in, what festivals I'm at, just meeting other people and being able to perform with them, live with them, it's just the most wonderful thing on earth, genuinely. It really is just the most wonderful R&B here with you all today. And just playing just the most wonderful thing in the world, music, genuinely. So yeah, I just hope you all have a wonderful career in music, life in music, and have a wonderful day, seriously.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you so much. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
That's very true. There's something very powerful about what it is that we do with music, connecting with people. As I said, this is something that you can experience anywhere you travel. It is really a universal thing. Who else would like to try? It doesn't have to be a woodwind. It can be anything else. Oh, you play saxophone, right? Let's get a brass instrument up here for now. Okay, I can see a shiny trombone over there. Okay. All right. Remind me your name? Lachlan? Lachlan, that's right. Lachlan, I heard you play earlier. You sounded wonderful. Lachlan, you want to tell? It's quite an enthusiastic group in that corner. Lachlan, do you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your musical history?
Yeah. So, I love jazz, and I guess that's about it. I love jazz. I just like playing jazz with all my friends and all the different bands. I don't know, it's just my thing, and it makes me very happy, and it makes me fulfilled as a person. So, I really enjoy it. Right now I'm in the Syncopating Sea Monkeys and Tower Bridge Trad. So it's really fun. Really love jazz. I love jazz.
Beautiful. My name is Lachlan, and I'm a jazzaholic.
Jazzaholics Anonymous.
Jazzaholics Anonymous. All right, so you ready? I'm going to pick up the saxophone. It's a little more in the range. Okay. Why don't you start?
Okay.
All right, Lachlan. How did that feel? How did that feel for you?
Felt very fun. I enjoyed it.
Great.
I felt like it's different. Like it doesn't feel like you're having a normal conversation like talking. It feels more like you're just trying to. It's like getting a connection with that person by giving and taking. I guess that's how I would describe it. So
Yeah. Beautiful.
It's really great.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
So that's funny what Lachlan said. Actually, there was a study done. I read it a number of years ago, and when they put a musician in an MRI machine, put the brain in it and get the brain scan, and they gave the musician, because you can't move, they gave the musician a keyboard, a little keyboard that he could play upside down in the MRI machine, and he improvised, so they could see what was going on in his brain while he was improvising. And surprisingly, or not surprisingly, all the language centers of your brain light up when you improvise, which is more evidence that this music is a language. It is a language, and jazz is a certain accent of that language. It's the same scales and arpeggios that Mozart has been writing for hundreds of years, and well, ever since then Bach, even go back to Bach. But it's the language is the same. It's the same building blocks. It's just that we have a different accent with jazz. Are we running out of time? What have we got? Okay, I think we can do one more. Then we're gonna. Okay, my dear, please, come. Remind me your name. Stuti, that's right, this is Stuti. Stuti did a fantastic job earlier, really wonderful. So, do you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
So my name's Stuti. I'm here with my band, Cats in the Club. I run that band, my band, hooray. I've been playing the sax since I was in 4th grade. I'm currently in 11th grade, so it's about coming on like 8 years. And along with sax, I play trombone and I sing as well. Yeah. Yay.
Beautiful. Okay. You ready?
I guess.
Okay. You don't use an extra. That's interesting.
Oh, not for soprano.
Oh, that's cool.
It's because when you get used to marching with the tenor.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear.
Yeah.
All right, Stuti, let's do this.
Sweet.
You want to start? One second. Let's play less music. Let's use this space. Let's start off with some meditation. But my point is, what you're doing is not wrong, but I would like you to get out of your head right now. Because I think you're playing your stuff. Your stuff.
No, I didn't pull that out of my
Yeah,
head.
good,
I've been improvising since I was in 7th grade.
good. Stop all that.
Oh,
Stop all that. Okay, ready? Now that was cool. Please thank Stuti, ladies and gentlemen. How did that feel?
That felt like I was having an argument with my dog. All she does is bark at me, and I go, "Woof, woof," back.
And who won the argument?
Well, she did, because she came around and bit me.
Wow. Wow, well you came unscathed through that, so you know, safer than a dog, I think. Jazz is the conclusion we can make. Please thank Studi, ladies and gentlemen, that was wonderful. I think we have to stop it, right? Okay. Well, of course, I'd love to go on, but I hope that kind of opened your mind a little bit more in terms of music and sound. And I would encourage you to do that with each other, with people in your band room. Make silly sounds, have fun with this music, and you'd be surprised how it can translate to the stage when you're more comfortable with expressing yourself. I hope that was some help to you, and thank you so much for your time, everybody. I appreciate that.